Hello, what's up, everybody? Damn, my face is big. My head is big. uh, Welcome. We're about to have a dope ass panel on Sex Sunday today, talking about fetishization of black AMAB folks, black men specifically. So we, you know me, it's Big Villains. If you don't know me, that's who I am. It's Overthrow Media. Welcome. Glad you're here. I guess I'll start rolling into folks a little bit by bit. First, I'm gonna give a chance to I'm gonna bring four men from foreign land in and let them introduce themselves and tell them a little bit about their channel and who they are. If you don't know who they are, but you should know who they are. If you don't know who they are, you're tripping. Just put it out there. Yo, what's up, FD? Oh shit, I'm way too big. Hold on.
Oh shit, it's me. We're safe, fam. Bless it. I thought it was FD, so my whole ass turned around. Hey, what y'all saying, though, man? It's good to see. Big, what's your pronouns, fam?
I'm gender fluid, so just call me by my name generally, but like it's whatever. You know what I mean? It just as long as they ain't malicious, we good. You know what I mean?
All right, I can call you Biggs. Still, yeah, man. I mean, shit, it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to have this convo for like a whole month. So I'm glad to finally, link up and we talking about cork today. You talking about cork? I think we talking about cork. Yeah.
We're talking about fetishization of our BBCs, you know what I mean? Okay, and so just us in general, so.
I'm done. Where the rest of these big folks them?
Oh, you want to introduce yourself and your channel real quick though?
Oh yeah, shit, that's right. I have a channel. Yeah, Foreign Man in the Foreign Land. Basically, I talk about things pertaining to our intersections, but with a Caribbean spin, with a lot of flavor and spice. I actually just came back from editing, so this is a much needed reprieve from me being in the foreign sweatshop, which is my editing bay, which is basically my desk. So I'm extremely excited to go and chop it up with these fine folks. But yeah, if you want to check out the things, look at youtube.com/foreign man in a foreign land. It's actually the best website on this cesspool of the internet that we call www. And let's see what else. Twitter. Yeah, we on Twitter. Twitter.com/foreignman242. That's the Bahamian area code. And what else are we on? TikTok. I ain't dropping nothing on there in a second, but I'm about to drop some. If you really want to get down with the culture and that's no pandering to anything outside of just Caribbean things, check out Foreign Man in a Foreign Land on TikTok. It's all of that. So yeah, excited to talk. Guys, talk too much, so feel free to cut me off whenever you're ready.
All right. Next up, we want to introduce. I know everybody's probably familiar with FD, but if you don't know FD signifier, y'all should go subscribe to them as well. But let me let them introduce themselves.
Yo, I'm low as hell. I'm back here laughing just at the interaction thus far. Shit, what's going on, people? This is FD Signifier. I am in my kitchen as usual. The kids are upstairs, so I got headphones on in case this conversation gets a little raunchy. I am fresh off a nap. So, I may take a second to get into the groove, but I'm in here. I'm here. We ready.
All right. We actually got one more person on the way. They just running a little behind, so they'll be here in a second. But I'll go ahead and give you a little rundown, you know what I mean? Turb, which also, if you haven't seen two Turbs, oh my God, I can't talk right now. Seen Turb's YouTube channel.
I'm a text Turb right now.
Then y'all make sure to go subscribe. But I'm gonna give them a chance to introduce themselves once I get here. But I guess we should talk about like what we about to talk about. So what we're about to talk about is fetishization of black men and black AMAB folks. So basically, I think it's a dialogue that isn't really talked about, at least not in a good way. A lot of times, there's like people embracing the fetishization, but they're not really like actually trying to address the problematic sides of that or the fact that it is problematic. And also, let me be straight, pretty racist. I'm not gonna lie, no cap. That's basically the plan of what we're going to talk about. I think that will go a lot of ways. I think it'd be dope to share our stories as well. I think people could learn a lot from our experiences because I'm sure we've all been through it in different ways. You know what I mean? And it's also interesting because I think we have a diverse group of black folks, right? So we all have different experiences in the way we are fetishized, right? I feel like I'm fetishized differently than other folks, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Especially like, bro, what's your accent too? I know it's got to be bad. Like, I'm not
It's so bad. It's so bad. But I mean, it's like I think we will get into it. There's definitely like a lot on the table. Big up. Like I see like a lot of fine people in the chat right now. Big up everybody inside the chat. I see Otelius. That's a black bread tube, booty bread, cornbread tube, legend right there. So big up them. I see the media and all that. Yeah, big up the whole chat right now. It's about to be some interesting things. But yeah, I mean, pretty much did the prescribed and canonical video pertaining to black men's sexuality. So of course,
and I left so much out. Like
how that you left though, you showed a whole kitchen sink in there.
Man, that video could have been a series. Like I like in a different world, that's a series of videos with different topics on each. I had a whole Prince section I left out. You know what I'm saying? Like Prince had a whole half out before that Andre 3000 section. There was like 20 minutes on Prince. But I just like I gotta cut this down. I don't want to have another 2-hour video. And it was already an hour and 40 minutes. It's so much left to that conversation. So yeah, we got shit to chew on. You know what I mean?
All right, well, shit. All I know is Prince was a colorist, and ain't nobody trying to talk about that. But
right, right. Prince was a colorist. Man, so can we let's just start with Prince? Can I give y'all my thesis?
Yeah, go for it.
Bro,
let's get it.
So Prince was a colorist. So let me start with the important start. Prince is maybe my favorite musician of all time. Top 5 at least. You know what I'm saying? Prince is amazing on so many levels. And Prince's sexuality as a black man is so interesting because he pushed margins in ways that weren't even like developing at the time. Like it would like to talk about like being genderqueer or androgynous or all these things, but also still being in a way hyper masculine and highly desirable. Is really interesting. But the thing I was going to spend time on was the colorism part because he himself was colorist, but also I don't think any of those things with Prince are possible if he's not a light-skinned black man with a certain texture of hair. Yeah. And I was going to like, that's why I spent so much time on it, because I'm like, you know, Ronald Isley was very androgynous. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Ronald Isley. He just came out with an album, like a trap drill album. It's weird. He's like 80. But he, it was like a huge rock star, pop star guy, all from the 50s into now, I guess. And he, for a large chunk of his career, was very like androgynous. And the Ozzy Brothers, they would wear halter tops and, you know, stuff that was rock and roll at the time. But he was a dark-skinned brother with, you know, nappy hair. So it didn't carry him the same way. There's a couple of people, darker skinned brothers. Rick James to an extent, although Rick James had a lot of other issues. It didn't carry them as much. But for Prince was able to come in and be this very challenging masculine figure, be incredibly sexual, wear women's underwear in videos, but he could get your girl. Dudes would openly talk about him being attractive and it wasn't transgressive to be like, you know what, Prince could get it. Like that's how dudes would talk about Prince in the 90s and 2000s. Like I remember Jamie Foxx had a whole section of a comedy special about it. And so yeah, it's just a lot there to Prince as like this anti-BBC figure in a world where that's generally the only flavor black men are supposed to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never even realized that much. I mean, because that's a little bit before my time. I mean, I know my red little Corvette, but I mean, you know, he wasn't too well versed on Prince. But it's amazing that you bring it up, that his intersections made it possible for him to even offend some of those gender conformity compellents that a lot of us have to. And I feel like, you know, it's that gender as a luxury video that we did. That's pretty much the same thesis. Like you could do certain things when you a certain hue, And I felt even more so now that I'm back in the Bahamas. And even my gal had to show me this because I've been slipping just by proximity to those gender structures and gender conformities. And the roles that I've been dealing with since I've been back in the Bahamas, since I've been back home and out of Iowa, I've been extremely, I just have to check myself. Like, just by virtue of me being near people that exude the traditional masculine stereotype, and not only that, but other people, especially women, and we can get back to this, women calling on you to participate and more so portray and perform that type of masculinity. I don't have the same amount of leeway that I did when I was in Iowa. So I even look back at my videos since I've came back home, and I could see it. Like I could see it slipping out. So I'd even venture to say that, like, just as Prince is able to do certain things with his masculinity because of his intersections, I have now been, my range of masculinity has been limited. You know, like when you get an injury after playing a sport and like
right, you ain't got the same motion.
Yeah, that's me right now. Like I can't do the same things. I can't even talk similar ways as I would like in Iowa, and be a little bit, you know, more flamboyant and like the parts of my character and my masculinity that I'm able to be a little bit softer or a little bit more pretty, you know, things like that. Like I'd wear do-rags and, you know, preen myself, shave. Man, look, I wear one do-rag and I go on to see my nana saw it. I go on to miss and saw my nana. She said, "Get that shit off your head, boy. What you talking about? Like, if you don't stop." She said, "Get that shit off your head." And
self-care is for women.
Yeah, it's like, what you doing? Like, you ain't biting on your nails. Like your nails look like a manicure. Like, and I had to go on, like, you know, backpedal it. So it's interesting. Like different environments bring out different sides of our masculinity.
One thing, but go ahead, Big. I ain't gonna cut you off.
It's interesting too because I also question, like, when you talk about like running back to Prince real quick. When you think about Prince, I also wonder if like size has a lot to do with it too, because I couldn't slide with any of the shit he did, right? That wouldn't fly. They wouldn't take it at all. Man, and also something really trippy. One of my mentors, she was a big Prince fan, and then when I don't know, you're talking about like their colorism. It kind of makes me wonder because she was a huge Prince fan and she was dope as fuck, and then she went down the Candace Owens route, and I was like, what happened? Like what? And so I wonder if there's like if not that he caused that by any means, but like if there was correlations in their mentalities that I wasn't seeing, because I wasn't listening to Prince like that, so I don't know like what their lyrics were like that. Like I said, Little Red Corvette and all sexy.
That. Yeah, Prince wasn't very conservative. He was like personally religious later in his life, like a lot of older people were, but he wasn't really conservative. He was relatively progressive in a lot of ways. You know, put like for a big pop star would put like Black issues or world issues on his platform a lot more than probably was normal during his time period. I think it's just Prince was just so universally loved that no matter where you was coming from politically, you might fuck with some Prince. Yeah. The man was amazing. I want to
can we pause real quick? I want and let our last person hop in and give an introduction. You know what I mean? So shout out to Turb, by the way, the dope. You should subscribe, but I'll let them shout themselves out real quick, and then we'll get back to this conversation. What's good?
Hey, yo, I'm super sorry for being late to this conversation. Like, but I'm super excited I have it because I feel like I have a lot of different views than you guys, being like a younger person in like in kind of the sex climate here, because we have like less Black men, you know. We all the Black men that are fetishized in the media more so, and then when you like embody that caricature of the media, like a Playboy Cardi, like a XXX. But it also goes to show, because we have a lot more like gender expression. Like when y'all talk about hypermasculinity and like Black areas, it seems like y'all are kind of conditioned by like your groups to fit like a role in masculinity. I didn't really have that, which is why I like can dye my hair pink and I'm so comfortable with it and shit like that. And like I guess it works for me because I've never really had a problem talking to women or like getting women, but I still fit into that. It's still a weird aspect of fetishization because I am embodying a caricature that people see in Black media rather than in real life, you know.
That's I want to piggyback off that, I wanted to talk about something that Forum made me think about, that I talked about with my homegirl, Dr. Candace Hargens, because I fucked around and called her Candace Owens once in a video. And she's a sexologist. I posted the podcast on my community page if you want to check it out. Really dope conversation. I talked about holding space for brothers from like less less nurturing environments for how they perform masculinity, and recognizing that being able to perform masculinity with any form of range and fluidity is directly tied to like economic privilege. You know what I'm saying? Like the absence of certain fears around how I present to the world as a Black man are in direct connection to the fact that those fears are assuaged by my class status in the world. I think about my sons right now. They have moments where I see them clashing against out in the world what the world expects of little Black boys, even at their age. And they're confused as fuck. They're like, why is this dude acting like this? This is weird. But it's because like I haven't had go out there and fight speeches with them. You know what I'm saying? I haven't had, they haven't ran into those situations where even as little boys, they have to somehow exude this image of Black masculinity that is far beyond their years, or for fear of transgression, whether it be, you know, sanctioned in the house or sanctioned outside the house. Everybody around them is just joyful and happy and shit. So my oldest son's favorite color is pink. He has no clue that that's like a transgressive thing. It completely defies logic for him. He's probably heard it once or twice from a friend at school, but like for the most part, that's just his favorite color. That's because, and I say that to say, we always have to keep in mind, this is for us, this is for the audience, this is for everybody when we start engaging around Black men's issues, that like us being here to talk what we're talking is a byproduct of, you know, opportunity, education, and or lack thereof, or like persevering throughout that. In Big's cases, I know you went through all the shit and came out on the other side, but you also know what it feels like to have like portrayed that character to survive. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I hope people tend to instill those characteristics as innate characteristics of Black men, as opposed to environmentally informed characteristics.
See, actually, with me, it was kind of weird because I didn't really do masculinity right in a lot of people's eyes. You know what I mean? At least not in the hood, right? Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? I got probably more fights because of getting tested behind it. You know what I mean? And I think the only time I actually was really masculine to people is when I'm around non-Black people, right? Then I'm extra masculine to them. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But that's how people like feel. But when I was growing up, man, so many fights because people were trying to test me, like trying to push me and shit. And you know, I don't know. They know, like, you know, both the sides of my family have bad tempers, so it's not really the good choice to do because I'm going to fight, like, you know what I mean? But I don't know. And I think a lot of times people also read now as I'm older, read trauma as like masculinity. When I'm like, dog, I just have hella PTSD, bro. Like it is what it is, my guy. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? And I mean being like stoic or something comes from that. You know what I mean? It's not coming from me being like, oh, I'm being masculine. In fact, I always thought that shit was corny when I was growing up. I was like, bro, y'all are corny as fuck. And but
I always did too. That's funny. Like I when dudes would do the most, I don't know. I sold this story on somebody, or maybe it was in a video. I don't know. But it was like, I remember watching MTV's Real World. Have y'all seen? Am I aging myself with that? No,
I know of it, but like,
I've seen it.
I don't know what that is.
It was like the first reality TV show, The Real
I
World.
thought that was Jersey Shore.
No, oh my God. No. This is well before the Jersey Shore. The first Real World was like 1994 or some shit.
I wasn't born.
What?
Like
-6.
The sperm that like Turb would have came from wasn't even existed yet. Like,
Oh, I hate y'all young motherfuckers. Oh, anyway, listen.
God.
It was one of the first reality TV shows, and it was like most reality TV now. It was built to be salacious and young, attractive people, lots of alcohol, hopefully as much sex as possible, and drama. They had this black dude who had a thong collection in his room. He just had I think it was a grocery bag of like women's underwear, and that was his his trophies for all the women he's had sex with. I don't even remember the point of this story. It was a reason for it to like get to like how dudes think about sex. Now all I can think about is the fact that I was 12 years old in 1994.
I kind of have a crazy like old story too. So I used to live in the north side, and the north side was very well, it's kind of gentrified at this point, but like in the north side, it had a lot of townhouses like when I moved here, because there was like a refugee crisis and they were just taking all these Sudanese people in, right? So it was me and all of my cousins. I call them cousins. They're not like blood, but they're all Sudanese, so we call each other cousins, right? And we all lived on this block. That was the first and last time I've ever lived in like a black congregated area. Like that shit was, so like most of my experience and like when I talk about blackness draws from this. Because when I moved to the south side, immediately I was just tokenized. Because here it's just all model minorities mostly. So like in the north side, when we would watch like black people, we'd watch Soldier Boy, when he was like doing that fucking, he had the big chain on and everything. Yeah, Soldier Boy up it. Like that was
right down the block from you.
Yeah, we would watch that and then we would mirror it because that was our only image of black representation. Other than our Sudanese culture, of course. Like we would do that, but like that was black culture to us, and like, but there was a lot of things that weren't like I said before, pressed on us. So we had a lot more of more freedom to like figure out what was black for us, which is why we would watch Hannah Montana all the fucking time. You know what I mean? That shit might sound white to y'all, but like to us, that shit was like a weekly meeting. We like all the bikes outside someone's house. We're all watching Hannah Montana, dead ass, or watching Dragon Ball or something, right? But like, I figured the forms of masculine representation I saw and tended to reflect were like the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, like the people like that. Then that's why I went into like basketball, and the majority of my cousins went into basketball too. Just because we're all like encapsulated by this image of like, damn. Like Kobe just dropped 81 on us, like Kobe's really that dude. Like I want to be that dude too. So that's how we kind of maneuvered in the terms of black masculinity. But then it turned into competition, like you said. You said in your video that as young as you could remember, you were like, your little boys were like trying to flex like their six packs and stuff. That kind of like resonated with me because I saw Facebook photos of us doing that, of us just like flexing and shit, like who has the biggest muscles, who is this and this, and like performance of masculinity. It started off small, where it was like, who's the best basketball player, and then I had a cousin named Dean who was in a grade above me, and then we did this thing called 5-6 split because we didn't have enough teachers. And basically we had like a note thing, and we went around to all the women, and we were like, who are you attracted to more, Theab or Dean? And Dean won. And that shit made me I remember at a young age, that shit made me like question, like, am I even enough? Like, because this guy's performing black masculinity way better. Then I started like trying to run the fastest in the class. Then I started trying to do like just overperform. So it started off little, but then it like built, because no one really taught me like there's a kind of social construct for masculinity that's toxic, so like I kind of had to figure that shit out on my own along with black masculinity.
Yeah, no, like that remind me, and just like I'm talking about how we get like little epilogues for ourselves as conquests, like like every gals, it's no more about like forging intimacy or like actually connecting with someone. It's conquest. It's the quest of flesh. Like you need to stock as much as you can. Like and from very early on, like that was the thing. And I experienced that very late. And my fatness saved me from a lot. Let's say that. Because like I was not desirable. I came into desirability very late, because and it might have just been like the confidence and like the lack thereof when you are a fat man or a fat boy growing up. But all of the things that like my peers and whatnot in school would deal with, as far as just like trying to find girls to go to the dance with or having your little girlfriend and things like that, I took myself out of that equation totally. It ain't that like I was rejected. It was simply like, okay, I know I'm gonna be rejected, so I ain't even gonna present myself on the table because you's the fat boy with small ears, you know, so ain't nobody looking at you the way that your friends that were a little bit more athletically built. So I came into it late, and I was, if anything, the cute friend, but never like the desirable man. So I came into me being a little bit more desirable and having to reckon with that later. And where it saved me from certain things, like it saved me from possibly, and I say saved in quotations because I didn't, like, for example, I didn't end up like a lot of my friends that already have children right now. Not saying that that's a bad thing at this point, because now I understand that that doesn't necessarily structure your life in a particular way like a lot of people will make it seem. But a lot of my brethren, them, you know, that was sexing from 16, 15 and things like that, they had one little child on the side of them by 18, 19. Didn't end up going to college. I see them a lot right now. Some of my friends, they're in jail. And that's simply from like the lifestyle that they was living. And me being fat kind of saved me from that. Me being fat like kind of allowed me a chance to not even participate with the mode of sexuality because I withdrew from that. And then once I got into it, I didn't understand how to, I still thought it was a scam. Like when girls started talking to me, I was just like, this is a setup?
Like, skeptical.
Just like, you might have like experience with that. Like
similarly, I was a late bloomer. And I remember crossing into my fraternity. I was like, you know, very quiet. I'm outside of, you know, YouTube, which is why this job is a gift and a curse. Tend to be a much more private, trying to be out the spotlight type of dude. But like we had a
dad on kiss in the building.
Shit. Man,
no, that's exactly
that's
like what I gotta deal with. I'm sure Big, you got some things on that. Like
man.
and Turb, I feel like you pretty much been athletic out the gate.
Yeah, well, if I'm talking about like my experience with like being in the spotlight of masculinity, I guess, like, yeah, I've been athletic because of genes, you know. I've always been a tallish dude. Like I've always been like skinny. I've always been like, because I would always run around in the hood with my niggas, you know what I mean? So like I was always fit too. So like when I got into like, oh, am I not allowed to say that? I'll keep down. Yeah, words. So like when when I got into like sports and everything, I started like really exceeding. And then from grade 5 all the way to grade 12, basically, sports was my method of masculine catharsis, where like I could be like openly aggressive. I could like trash talk people. I could belittle people, and I could feel good about it and be rewarded for it. You know, my coach would reward me for it. My coach would be like, Turb, go out there, do whatever you want. Sometimes I yell at my coach. You know what I mean? That's just the game. Yeah. I'm scoring 30 a game. Y'all, you're not going to tell me what to do, you know? But like I said, like in college, everything collapsed. The social fabric collapses. And you're like, okay, what is masculinity to me? What is XX and X? And it sort of kind of arisen with COVID, because COVID forced me to have like introspection into myself, because I wasn't around, I wasn't a token anymore, you know? I was just at my home, just like typing, doing whatever. And I started like thinking a lot about like things that I did that were very toxic in a sense. A lot of it was cool and shit, but like secondary, it was like masculine tropes too, which I kind of needed to get away from, you know? And then I also started when COVID started posting on TikTok, right? So like I started talking about these ideas openly on TikTok and like trying to resonate with people. I'm like, do you guys feel the same? And I started like resonating with people a little bit, you know, in like a joking manner. Then I started like the more and more I delved into it, the more I decided, okay, I want to grow my locks. Okay, I want to like dye my hair. And then the more and more comfortable I got with my masculinity, the more and more appreciation I kind of got for myself, where I was sought after before, but never to this extent. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like once you deviate from that, especially in my age, in my era, and like what with the woman gaze, once you deviate from that image of masculinity and you just start being you, like just women like it way more. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's beautiful youth and Canadian privilege.
Yeah, that might just be that just might be like platform privilege, you know.
No, it's true to an extent. Yeah. Like it's there's definitely I always like to tell a funny story about like me first like seeing my wife's ex-boyfriend. We were undergrad, so I'm not a bad looking dude, but I'm not like the super desirable walk in the room, everybody turn their heads dudes. I was pushing that 7 as hard as I could. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna get this 7. Let me do these curls. Be 7 by this weekend. And so I meet my future wife. We date for a little while, and I open up, like I go to her dorm or whatever, and she has like a notebook with this dude on it, and this is like, it's just one of them niggas. You know them niggas.
Yeah.
He got the 16 pack. He got the strong pectoral muscles.
He got the V cut.
He got the V.
It's over.
You know what I'm saying?
It's over.
He legit looks like a black porn star in this picture. You know what I'm saying? He got like a white linen suit. And I'm just like, this is silly. And I make a joke like, why are you getting like male models on your folders? She's like, no, that's my ex-boyfriend. I was like, oh.
That's why you don't ask questions.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. And that fucked with me for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, yo, there's like that's the comp. That's who I'm replacing. But then I talked to him.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, he was he's a good dude, because I've had conversations before. He was like he went to he was like a 4-star recruit for football, all kinds of dope stuff. But we were so diametrically opposed, like mentally and emotionally, that I understood, okay, she has to value the thing I do well, right? Like that's real. So I don't want to poo-poo what Turb is saying. However, I also want to, call in the ladies to like understand that historically, and this is data driven, if you behave in a traditionally, some might say toxically masculine way, at least here in the States, it yields dividends in terms of access to partners and partnerships. And this is not some red pill, like whatever. This is like driven by, research on intimate partnerships. Bell Hooks said this in her about her own husband, in Understanding Patriarchy, that he was frustrated because he was not really into patriarchy, but he recognized how it yielded him benefits. Because we do, like, we're all the thing. Like somebody but somebody was like, "What do you mean patriarchy is genderless?" on a live the other day, and I'm like, "Yo, it's not like." All the men didn't have a meeting and design patriarchy like behind like a closed door like conference and then just come up with the plan. Like it's a system that all of us have grown up in, and we are and women are just as conditioned by our social structure to uphold patriarchy as men are. They just don't get the same benefits from it, and thus it's maybe easier for them to divest with less like mental entrapment, is less, pain around the process, but it's still there. So I'm sure I'm not speaking just for myself to say that with those moments where you embody patriarchy and toxic masculinity, there's still plenty of benefit to that. And that's something we have to continue to challenge and unpack.
Have y'all pushed back a little bit? So I think there is, I think one thing I've noticed a lot is a lot of, I'm not gonna get too deep into it because it's a whole different like conversation, but a lot of people, a lot of like women will specifically reject certain parts of patriarchy, but not others. You see what I'm saying? Like there's certain parts they want to keep. Like it's not necessarily, and it's just like yo. If we're gonna throw the whole thing out, let's throw the whole thing out, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? But like I know like I've definitely had experiences where specifically with black women, like I'm not masculine enough for a lot of black women. Like it just is what it is, and it sucks. But personally, to me, I'm not. My preference is black women. So, and you know, now to white women and brown women, it's a little different. You know what I mean? That they kind of like some of them read me certain ways. But it reminded me of my ex, and there's a point like actually where her brother had put his hands on her, right? Like and I wanted to whoop his ass, but she didn't want me to, supposedly. I'll say supposedly for a reason. She didn't want me to. And so I bit down on my teeth as hard as I could and like talked to him about why he's wrong and out of pocket and whoop and all the things that she wanted me to do, supposedly. After we break up, turns out years later we have this conversation. She really wanted me to whoop his ass, but just against her consent, right? Yeah. And I was like, yo, I told you I wanted to whoop his ass. Like I told you, like not honestly, even on some masculine shit, but no, I love you and nah, fuck that. But she was like, no. But really, she wanted me to like go against her wishes and do it anyways. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is like? And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen a bunch of times with other folks. But the first time it was like someone directly told me that's what they wanted. Every other time it's like literally, if you like, I'm sorry, if you put hands on my partners, I'm gonna beat your ass. Like as long as they don't make me not do it, like don't do that. Like I'm gonna do it because you don't put your hands on my partners. Period. Like that's just what it is. And it's not to be masculine. It's nothing like that. But it's just like, you know, I protect people I care about. But that thing like blew my mind. It like literally didn't come about. She didn't tell me that till like years. Like we were way broken up. Like way after we broke up and shit. I was like, you know what I mean?
I think that speaks to like that, and that speaks to how like insidious patriarchy is. Because my personal opinion is that a lot of women's experiences around, we'll say, I don't know, desirable patriarchy. We'll come up with a better phrase for it. They're not even aware of it at times. Like I've had experiences where women like after the fact basically say, you know, I really would have appreciated if you did some really toxic shit that one time. And I'm like, you know, like it's like I don't do that. I don't want to do that. Like, you know, we go a perfect example is this shit with Will Smith in the slap. Like there are a lot of women very uncritically celebrating that moment, and like, you know, I hold space for that because that also intersects with black women feeling like they don't get protected in the media and in public by black men. So like there's that conversation, but then there's also like his well-being, like what was going through his head, the fact that he compromised a career and a legacy. My wife said she'd have tackled me before I got off the chair. She's like, I never let you do no silly shit like that and embarrass us. You know what I'm saying? But you know, maybe that was. Let me not psychoanalyze Will and Jada especially, but you know what I'm saying? Like I do know that there are some people where that would have been the exact thing they would have desired from their partner, no matter the consequences. So it's wild. Turb, you about to say something?
Yeah, have you guys ever been like in a situation where you've been fetishized by like another partner? Yeah. So like that was basically my first. No, well, I feel like in all my relationships I've been fetishized to an extent. It's just like how much can I take, which sounds kind of toxic. It sounds kind of toxic, but that's literally like survivability for a lot of the time in the dating scene. You know what I mean? Where it's like my first ex was so toxic to my first ex was so toxic.
The Asian one?
Yeah.
Oh,
but no more details. Like, this girl is crazy, right? So this girl is crazy. So yeah, like she would be like, at first it was very like micro, right? Where she was like, oh, you're taller than my last ex, you know? And she was like, oh, I really like black boys. I really like guys that look like you. I really like, where are you from? And then she started sending me like mixed kids, right? And then she started being like, oh, when we're walking, you have to be on this side of the road, which that's a very small like thing that I kind of enjoy doing, you know, because it's just like a good gesture. But it's like you're instilling all these like dominant Black like hyper masculine traits on me that I don't want to exhibit. But you're saying like you're coercing me in a way where you're like,
yeah. Then it becomes you need to be able to put me in my place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's specifically with sex too. It was just so like, it was so traumatizing because it was so like one-sided. Like she just wanted me to be aggressive. You know what I mean? Like where she was just, I don't. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but like it was like she was like, fuck me like this, do like this, do this, do this, to a point where like I don't even really view myself as hypersexual as I was, just because like it's disgusting to me to certain extents. And that's why I say like things with like but my second ex was she was way better, you know what I mean, where she still had like those certain microaggressions where it's like when we first met she said you remind me of Shadow, and like things like that were like characters of like masculinity and things like that.
About the fucking
shut the hedgehog, the hedgehog dog, the hedgehog.
Yo,
mean, bro.
Like
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah. But
that's a different fetishization.
Yeah.
Bro, I've never heard no shit like that in my life.
Yeah.
Yo,
Bro, that's the hate
so there's
crime.
a gift and a curse with the Canadian, with what's going on in Canada. This is why like I have never. Oh no, she was Black though, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
Oh
Black.
damn, I can't even make race an excuse.
I don't even know what to do with that. Like,
yeah, but like she would compare me like certain, but like at the end of the day, she was so much better than my first ex. She compared me to Shadow because we were like both nerds, you know.
Oh.
So like it's whatever at the end of the day. But that's I expect y'all to laugh at that.
sorry. No, it's real. Like to the fetishization thing is one of the dudes I talked about in the was he in the black male fetishization? He's in the Black Manners video where he talked about like Black men are in such minimal control of our image, right? And it's like, so it's almost like we're constantly racing to keep up with whatever the image everybody else has of us in order to access intimacy and partnership. You know what I'm saying? And that's across the board, no matter what hue of woman you prefer. A lot of people that say they like Black men often aren't fully engaged with the fact that parts of what they like are this, he called it the hegemonic drive, this identity of what Black maleness is supposed to mean. And every brother, I think I said this in one of these videos, like brothers are kind of like, all right, I can do like you want this is the version of Black men you want. I can hit that like 80% of the time. So I'm a rock with you. We can do it. But like once you start getting out the range, it's like brothers get tired. And then like, you know, when dudes like there's points in time where some men, because it's a spectrum, right? We can't speak for everybody. I think some brothers legit get tired of being that dude for the sake of partnership. And start pulling out of relationships. I know a lot of dudes my age that are not a lot. Let me not say that. I know more dudes than people would think. And I know a lot of women my age that are in sexless marriages because their men are just not interested. You know what I'm saying? And it's not on some like attraction, lose some weight, toxic stuff. It's just dudes is stressed. And I don't know. I can't really call exactly what pulls them out of needing intimacy. I think some of it maybe I dealt with in the last video because a lot of us have never learned to fuck for pleasure. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it is just that constant cognitive dissonance of Black masculinity and like always feeling like you're measuring up to a facade. Whenever you're even in your most closest intimate connections with people, you're still performing a facade.
Yo, I mean, like, there's the whole component to it. People not actually seeing you for who you are. They might even see a component of you, but they only focus on that component, and that makes you like at some point be like, man, what the fuck am I even? Like, why am I in this situation right now? Like, and I don't know. I'll be honest. Most of my relationships, I mean, usually I do around my queerness, but like just in general, like most of my relationships never saw the full me. Like they would see. I mean, I literally last person I was seriously with, I completely fell in love with because they saw the full me. But like every relationship before and after never been that component. And then there's also the thing of like when you talk about like performing in sex, right? So I definitely can do the dom shit and enjoy it for sure. But the fact that it's the expectation when I'm more of like a switch type person, like I don't want to just be that. Right, it becomes a really big thing, and it makes it really hard to like maintain a relationship or want to maintain a relationship with somebody when that's like all they want from you. You know what I mean? And it even gets worse because it's in the bedroom, but even goes outside the bedroom, right? Like it's like, yo, I don't want to always be in that like dynamic. So
that's just a lot of pressure and responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And niggas be stressed enough. to then have to like I was who was I talking to? It might have been Ford. I was talking to you and I was like, yo, all the dudes I know that are in very like strictly traditional gender role relationships are either resentful or tyrannical. Like all like to a T. There's you know, well, not all, but like many of them to a T. They're either resentful because they're playing this like super patriarchal role in their household. They don't feel seen. They don't feel truly valued. They don't feel whole in their partnerships or in their like work life, etc. But they feel stuck having to like do it to keep the wheels turning. And the other ones are like, on some iron fist shit. You know what I'm saying? Like on some, you know, really just tyrannical, like classically toxic patriarchal household stuff because that's how they feel like it should be. And that's why like I've never been about that in my own partnership. It's like I'm not gonna like allow myself for my own sake of happiness to exist solely in this frame of being a man in this partnership and like disabuse myself of being silly or vulnerable or tired or depressed at times. Like I need all them shits. I need the whole menu. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I think a lot of people are not. I think a lot of people in general aren't used to that because I think Black women deal with similar situations. But I feel like we as Black men have less vocabulary to like speak to that desire to have more range in our experiences.
Yeah, and you're right. As an update to that conversation, I think like as far as it pertains to the fact that I've been chiefly assuming these patriarchal roles, like the provider one, especially since coming back to the Bahamas, just all of that compounded on one another. You're right, like even more conflict, like 10x that conflict. And I see myself, especially because I know that both of us agree on an egalitarian situation, and the fact that it's patriarchal right now, like I still find myself slipping, especially like in conflict itself. Even though I vowed to say, okay, I understand like your financial situation is a temporary thing and it has no commentary on your character and thing like that. I can say that, and then in the next breath, as soon as the conflict arises, like I'm stressed out to the point where I'm more like, listen, like, do you really feel as though like you need to be bringing this shit to me right now? As far as like, you know, I've been up from 4 o'clock in the morning doing all this and that and this, and you bringing this to me. Right. And like, and I talking about, like, I say, listen, like, we talking like gratitude and whatnot. And I'm more like, I don't like that person. I'm more like that's not what I want. And I was just like, damn, that's unk right there, you know.
Because that's what it forces into you. You can't, you know, you can't be on like I'm gonna talk about Tom Brady in a live probably this week. Like only dudes wired like a Tom Brady or a Jordan to like truly just they don't care about nothing else but competition and accolades and championships or whatever, like that can function in that space like normally. I think a lot of dudes, if there's a bitterness attached to being reduced to breadwinner, but we're not supposed to talk about it. And that bitterness, that goes back to the conversation with have y'all seen the video with Nikki Giovanni talking to James Baldwin?
No.
It's been on Black Twitter and Black TikTok a million times. If you could just pull up the image of it, y'all probably have seen it. There's this video is like a classic trope of like the conflicts between Black men and women, generally speaking. And basically, Nikki is telling James Baldwin about like Black women's experiences with Black men who are these breadwinners, et cetera, et cetera. And they come home from work where, especially at the time, they're dehumanized and, you know, abused by their environment. And so they come home and they're angry and they're frustrated and they want to drink. They want to be left alone. They're short-tempered. They're maybe even violent, right? And so Nikki's like, you fake all day at work, fake at home for me. And like, she's very sincere. And I get what she was trying to say. Like, look, I don't have to be the reciprocate, the whatever that R word is of your like frustration at work as your woman at home. Like, I'm not going to do that. But James also kind of pushes back and is like, look, I don't know too many dudes that can fake 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? And like that explodes somewhere and like it's going to break down. And that's why I've never like even now as I'm become the breadwinner, like I am not comfortable in having that be too much of like my definition in my household. You know what I'm saying?
So question,
Look,
do you think that like if you are the breadwinner that you deserve the majority stakeholder in conversations? Is your opinion on how things are ran more important if you're the one setting the table and providing the table?
I'm gonna say not really. I'm gonna say if you're the breadwinner, then the household needs to be designed on your ability to continue getting the bread, like overall. But like that shouldn't make it a top-down like authority situation, right? Like if like we all know, like right now, my kids are under the watch of my wife because I'm here, and that's how we usually do things. Like, but I give bath a lot of time. I stay and read books a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? And like for like extended periods of times, it's always been very egalitarian in my house, mostly just because that's how shit has to work. But like when it comes to decision making around like work, because I'm the one working, we cleave to the economics of it, but it's not based on my role or position as a decision maker, as the patriarch. You know what I'm saying? And I think somebody just put a comment. The household is the only place a lot of men have power they're told they're supposed to have, and that's so true. And even then, I think a lot of men feel unfulfilled by that, which is where you see Tom Brady chasing another championship.
I'll be a buck. If I come back, I don't even want to, like, if I come back into a household or I'm in a relationship, I don't even want to come back to having power or some shit. I want to come back to being able to fucking chill, like the fucking just like let be. And the thing is, like what you said about that quote, I seen that quote too. The you know, why don't you fake it for me? I was like, my thing with that moment when I saw that, I was like, what if a nigga asked it of you? Like, what if a nigga was like, look, you fake it all day when you go, say you're a nurse, right? Go nurse and take care of everybody. So why don't you come home and take care of me?
Yeah.
You see the problem with that? Like,
it's toxic. It's toxic both ways, definitely.
Yeah, and we can't like, and the thing is like, I don't know. If I look for personally, when I look for a relationship, I'm looking for somebody who's gonna like, yo, I can just be with like, yo, I'm going through this shit right now, or like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and be able to talk that out and be vibe and be real, and vice versa. Like, I want to be able to be there. I don't want to have you fake it for me, and that doesn't seem like that's ever gonna work, right? I want to be able to work and help work each other through our traumas, our daily traumas, to be able to get to a point where we're like, we feel healthier, because when we go back out there, it's going to beat us down some more. You know what I mean? And that's just going to be what it is. So like, I feel like being a space of healing is important, and that doesn't come from it being fake in my mind, personally.
I like how you said like a space of healing, because I've never really had that with like my relationships. The one where I did have, where it was like my last ex, where I did have a space of healing, was basically the best. Like, that's how I envision a relationship, basically, because I've never really seen a relationship or been in a stable relationship, like specifically in my household too, with like my parents, like seeing my parents like do shit. Like, so I've always had this traditional role in my mind where I have to do things, and it's fit into an insecurity of like when I date women too. It's like, oh, I have to pay for dates, I have to do X, I have to fulfill the traditional role. That's why it's kind of easier for me to fit into the role, like not discern like what patriarchy is, because like my whole like life, like as I was viewing it as like a kid, I was like, well, this is very toxic, and what I'm seeing in the media is just patriarchal relationships that are very healthy. So like to learn what a healthy relationship is very different in practice, you know what I mean? And it's something I had to like be very open-minded about, you know. I'm not like a stoic person. Like when I get into a relationship, I'll explain my situation, I'll cry, I'll do X and X. But like in the back of my mind, I'll be like, am I lesser for doing that? And of course the answer is no, you know, just the answer is no. But you're gonna have those internalizations of like, am I lesser? And like, is doing this lesser? And every time you cry or every time you're trying to do something emotional or like fit outside the constructs of a patriarchal relationship, you're gonna have that internal monologue and like that repression where you're just like, oh, and then sometimes it'll be like a 50-50 chance where you're just like, okay, I'll adhere to patriarchy this time, because it's just a mental toll at the end of the day. And like compartmentalization, I already do a lot of the time as like a black man. Like I enter a space, I tell a couple of jokes just to like everyone get comfortable, you know, I'm cool, like whatever, like things like that, where it's just if you kind of like, if you hyper analyze it, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in practice, you know.
Yeah. That's when like piggybacking off of that, and I see a couple people in the chat kind of referring back to that Nikki Giovanni conversation, that Nikki was talking about not getting beat up by men, like that a lot of black women, especially at that time, my grandma, one of y'all grandma possibly, that was so normal for them. I always talk about one of the more seminal black feminist texts, Their Eyes Are Watching God. The weird, not weird, what's the word I want to use? The complex discourse in Their Eyes Are Watching God between Janie and Tea-Cake. If you're not familiar, Janie is the main character, a black woman that is with several men throughout this book. And Tea-Cake is the only one it's like expressed that she genuinely loves. But part of the way like he shows love is by beating her. It's very like fleeting. It's not, you know, it's not focused on, but it's like very, you know, like matter of factly, oh, and he beats me. That's how I know he cares. It's like a couple of lines like that. Right. And it's wild that was so normal at the time, and you know, to an extent with some people still today. And then she kills him at the end of the video.
Man, I was gonna find this book, man. Damn.
he got like, I don't remember why. It was not like it was his fault, but not his fault, but also I don't know, it was toxic, but I get it. What was my point? Oh, I was bringing that up to say that then also with Nikki Giovanni and all what we're talking about now, what Turb just mentioned about compartmentalizing and how that's so normal for us as black men. We have to keep in mind as we talk about conflicts between us and black women that the key ingredient to that conflict is the white supremacist superstructure. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be hard to survive at work as a black man if you did not have constant microaggressions or explicit aggressions. On you. Same thing for black women who have always worked outside the house. And part of I think the conflict that I think both Nikki and James missed in that conversation was the adherence to these explicit, strict gender identities between black women. There was no discourse in the 1960s about, even James as a gay man, there was no discourse around breaking down the concept of gender roles. You know what I'm saying? And how that in and of itself is one, just not explicitly natural to black people from a diasporic perspective, but also like was never built for us to really participate in America in the first place. We were never built to participate in the patriarchal systems that we're in. And so, she didn't kill him like on it was he went crazy. So like, I don't want to mess, like I don't want to get clipped. That's why you guys still a good book, but I was just always bothered that like in all the analysis, there was never a lot of discussion about how like I'm gonna find the line. Let me find this line so y'all
I'm
can
about
like
to
hear it.
Can I
please
jump
don't
in real
please
quick?
don't spoil it
Yeah,
even
yeah,
more.
yeah,
I
yeah.
buying the book right now on goddamn. Please, man.
Here's the thing. There's a couple things that made me think about when we were discussing that, right? Like, part of it is like how much of that is also partly due to their attempt to compartmentalize their feelings that makes motherfuckers more and more toxic because of that. And then the other thing is for men out there that feel like you can put your hands on your partner, that you can be emotionally or verbally abusive to your partner, bro. You like the thing about me saying making a relationship be a healing space, dog, you're failing at the relationship, bro. If you're doing that shit, you are failing at the relationship, and it's on you for how you fail, right? I'm not saying the other person might not fail too, but it's on you for all the more you do it, the more abusive you are, the more egregiously you're failing. And it's really important to realize like it's not their job to heal you. It's our job to heal each other. You feel me? Yeah. It's our job to make healing space for each other. I think that's crucial. And I also gotta say, like, definitely women, but also among the queer community, like, it is not okay just because it's two men either. Like, I want to throw it out there because I've had like that's literally like some shit that led to like me getting like an altercation with my prior roommate because trying to hold him accountable for things okay to abuse his partner who was also a male, and that shit wouldn't fly either. So I mean, I think in a partner period, you don't. It's supposed to be healing space. It's supposed to be a place that y'all can come back and feel good about your life. Well, when you're out there, where you're working a job, whether you're hustling, whether you're doing whatever you got to do, like you're facing trauma over and over again. You're supposed to come back and have it be a good space. But yeah, I do think like we can't compartmentalize because from my experience by seeing other people that were my friends I've held accountable for their toxic behavior, right? A lot of that has came out there trying to compartmentalize who they are and then just becoming more and more toxic from that. You know what I mean? And I think that also has something to do with it. And doesn't excuse it, but I think that also is a piece of it.
Yeah, I think oh, go ahead before you about to say something.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like, this is related to like more so like the member part of the conversation because I've been ruminating on how to address this a lot more, and I've approached you on this, Unc, about just like how do I begin to have these conversations about the progressive discussions that we have that I think I'm speaking to the choir. I preach to the choir in like my content, but now that I have my Bahamian audience and my Caribbean audience beginning to find my shit, they really ain't rocking with it. I ain't gonna lie, you boy down bad. Like I mean, like my scoreboard is pitiful right now because like the Bahamians are beginning to leak into the comments, my Caribbean people, and I love them to death. And like I mean, they're just like, what are you talking about, fam? Like, what do you mean? Like they don't even like. And I try not to come to like a condescending position from it, but like white supremacy, these things aren't even in there, like isn't in the vocabulary right now. And this isn't like a condescension, like a dynamic type of thing, like, oh, progressive state's better, like woohoo state, but like basically it's just we're dealing with internalized colonialism, anti-blackness on totally different scales that I don't think that we have the goggles to talk about yet. And like the fight that I've been dealing with, like me fighting white supremacy in the States with a bunch of comrades and things like that is one thing. That's a battle. Me being home, people like me, and they spouting worse shit than what the white fellas them was spouting in Iowa. I don't my ma coming to me telling me that, listen, this is what you need to do as a man. Yeah. Like that shit. What do I tell my mom? I'm all like, Mom, this is some red pill bullshit. Like, she don't.
Mom, stop watching Andrew Tate, Mom.
My mom sent me out.
Yeah.
My mom, like, I casually see people like retweet, like on like Caribbean Twitter, retweeting Jordan Peterson, say, yeah, this nigga spitting. I see this nigga, what? It's I don't know what to do. I seriously have a loss for word. And like, I am now trying to figure out, it goes back to like racism without racists. And like, basically just like the specter of white supremacy, of all of that stuff without the agents, without the white people. And I mean, like, you know, so like bringing it back to like the BBC thing. So it's really interesting. So when it comes to like, it's very prominent like with white folks. Like you expect it to be very prominent with white folks. Let's get this out of the way right now. White men in particular, I've experienced very much more like interested and thinking about Black Hawk and like the size about it. That's like, honest to God, I could count the number of white women that I've experienced that come to me on that ship. By times it by 10, white men, listen, they are the most curious folks that I could spit out.
It is wild. It is wild. That's the one part of that video that went viral on TikTok. Like my black man in sex video, somebody clipped that portion, and that shit got like 100,000 views on TikTok without my name on your account. No, I ain't got shit to do. It just popped up. That's how Conscious Lee found me, because he's like, "Oh, this nigga spitting." I'm like, "Thank you, it's me." It was because I get no credit for it. But and I've heard that like that's it's so funny how I think all of us know that, but it's not a known thing in a weird way, because I think we've all we've experienced it at different levels, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons I'm not gonna evoke the specter of black male studies too much tonight, because I don't feel like unpacking the complexity of that area of study. But I appreciate that that's a thing that it speaks to a lot, is the almost violent fetishization of black men by white men specifically, and how that has a historical like use in white supremacy. It's not just a curiosity, it's a desire to control and conquer. That is underneath that interest, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like the way about it, like how I see it, not to cut you off, because like what I'm really interested in, because like I kind of know how to navigate that when it comes to like white women especially, and like I'll be like straight up, like when it comes to it, like a lot of it is very aesthetic based. They ain't like, in my experience, especially like in the college town, like going to a PWI, Turb, you might be able to understand this as well. Because like we've been encased in a sea of white. We've been freezing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We've been like out in the cold for quite some time.
Yeah.
And like they're like legit like white gals, like they would come, they'd be on that run, like, you know, drinks flowing, all that stuff. And like the type of courtship between us is always been that type of thing. I've had white gals like run out on me. Like I have had like white gals like literally like, you know, they acting like yeah, like this and that and this and that. Absolutely unserious in the wildest of all situations. And like I kind of want to like really take a moment to like solidify that, because like I think like what a lot of men deal with and like we think about a lot is like our size, like, and like it's always like if we're big enough. Like I'm telling you right now, in my experience, especially when it comes to white gal them, like you really ain't need much. You really ain't need much.
You don't need much with any of them. You don't need much.
None of them, especially. Yeah.
You was like you need. So like I am not a Mandingo King Dingling.
You a Hotep?
I'm a regular dude. You talking about Hotep though?
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about the white girls. I was just
no.
I've
never been with a white girl. I've never been with a white girl. Every white girl that has touched my body has been without consent. Like real talk. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it 100. It has been without my consent.
Well, I haven't either, because like literally of the 3 times that happened, like Usain Bolt, all of this shit. Like I'm talking about like one of them, and we ain't ready to talk about this too. One of them, and I sorry to like trigger one of them called the R word on me. One of them, like it was in a sorority party, boy. Like
I'm calling my sister.
It's inside the sorority party. I gotta talk quiet because my gal in the next room in the sorority party, right? And all you see, like everything, you know, rum flowing. The football players there, they think I'm a football player. I don't like football, but they think I'm a football player anyway. I'm gonna take it.
That's a dog.
Man, you know, things happening. Get up inside the room. All you see, like, things quiet. You're about to go and get down to it. Like, it's a lot of foolishness going around. One of their sisters came in, right? one of their sisters came in. So I went to get one of the sisters came in. Oh, you see, he's all like Tyra. This girl, look at, she jumped up and she made it look. Listen, this girl going red quicker than I've ever seen in my life. Jump up, made the whole thing look bad. Like, listen, when I tell you, you're going to say, yeah, I wasn't, this is not what I wanted. Da, 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 da. Like, I don't even know. All of that should happen. All of that should happen. And like, that was the one time when it was close to happening. The other time, like, it just like get away. But like, and like that part right there in particular, and like this ain't like a white woman hate stream. Like, I don't want it to be that. But like, it's very much aesthetic. It's very much like an infatuation with the actual avatar of blackness, of the thrill of it, not even the actual physicality of it, but simply the status and the act, the imagination of the act is what is the exciting part about it.
I mean, we know that they all like to piss off their dads too. That's like a big thing. Like there's a part of it that is that thing. Like, let me make my dad mad, and it's like hella real. And so also surrounded by white people. I grew up in Seattle, where there's a lot of black folks, but I mean, there wasn't a lot, but there's a lot of us together. Put it that way. But there's shit tons of white people. You know what I mean? Like 80-90% white. Seattle's bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the thing is, what I will say though is, like, I don't know. For me, I've had a different experience. I've had it from both white men and white women, but I'm also on FetLife, and I have some pictures that I fit the stereotype, right? As far as FetLife. It's like a fetish. It's like a fetish website.
BDSM interest stuff.
I mean, it's just fetishes, period. But there's parts with clothes off, right? And then it's both. I get it from both white men and white women super hard. And there is definitely a thing, and I agree with you. But most people, like, when they like the idea, but then the actual interaction, they don't even really want that. Once they might start, and then, like, how many times I've been in an interaction where they start, and then they're like, "Yo, I can't." And like, all right, whatever.
And listen, talk about that though, because like fellas ain't realize, like, they all like, oh, let's play in the fucking snow. Like, I really won't get in the snow like that bad. Like, I telling you, like, a lot of fellas over here, especially, every time, like, when I tell them, I say, yeah, I find my gal from Iowa, they say, oh, you got a little snow bunny. I say, my gal black as tar. What are you talking about? Like, they're just like, what you mean? How you going over the way to Iowa and you ain't get a white girl? I was like, easily, like easily. And like, people ain't realize that, like, there is a very steep cost, barring the other things about presenting in an interracial relationship in that regard. But let's just talk about the sex alone. If you're talking about the sex, like interracial sex in general, not the very theater-based porn you see in it, but like, there's just the dichotomy of it. There's a lot of context, subtext, overt text, a lot of things going on.
Yeah, talking about that though, like, sorry to cut you off.
No, yeah. You know.
Yeah, but Big and I were
this all y'all. I don't know about this.
But Big and I were talking about this before. When I had him interviewed after, we had like a 1-hour discussion about this, about how like, it's easy to have sex as a black man. You know what I mean? Like, when I went into like my PWI, my university, I've never had sex before. You know, so like, as I was getting more confident in myself, like, I was growing my locks, whatever, I was just talking to more and more people, and I realized, like, these people, a lot of women specifically, were talking to me, right? But it wasn't for like a dating standpoint. It was like, you want like you want to hook up, you want to do this, you want to come over to my dorm, you want to da 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 da. And I don't mean like, I'm not, you know, I don't mean to be like, okay, everything has to be a date, you know, like, I can hook up with people. But at the end of the day, when that's the only thing that I'm seen as, it kind of makes me detest it, you know? Kind of makes me detest being a sexual object if that's the only thing I'm seen as. And, well, you should be detesting seen as a sexual object, but that's the extra layer of like nuance into it. And like, when I go into like dates with these women, they always have something in their mind they want me to embody. You know, it's never like, oh, I want you as an individual. Whereas like, I've noticed with like my white friends, they're treated as individuals in their relationships, and they could like open up and they could cry, and they get away with like so much more outside of the realms of like masculinity than I can with like my partners, or else it's like a red flag, or else it's like, oh, what are you doing, like X, X, and X. And it's like I said, like this is why I said I need to date a black girl, and I don't want to turn this into a white hate stream, but that last relationship, when I say I date black, it's an extra layer of nuance to it, because I would date a white girl, I would date a Latina girl, I would date an Asian girl. It's just, it's never worked out. I've always been fetishized to that extent, and the last relationship was the first time I've never been fetishized, and I want that, you know, like that was, yeah.
Well, I get the fetishing now, but it's because of the multicultural aspect. Like my gal is American and I'm Bahamian, so like I was saying, like when Big Ox, like, have you all been fetishized? I was just like, yeah, right now. Like I mean, like my gal would like legit be like listening to me talking, and believe it or not, like the dialect, the colloquialism, the conversation, it gets deeper than right now. Like if you can't understand me right now, trust me, you really would not be able to understand me on an everyday basis. And like one time I talking to one of my brethren, I'm ordering food on the phone. And like I get off the phone, I look at my gal. This gal looking at me like prime rib. Like I'm talking about and she's like, I like when you say that. And I was just like, say what? She was just like, I swear this gal said say the. Like I'm more like, listen, like what you say? And like she was just, and like I was just like, how is this sexual? I was just like in that second, and like that's where I want to go. Like this fetishization kind of it exists beyond the white and black dynamic, but rarely do we talk about like how that BBC trope and all the rest of these tropes that like are showed in interracial settings actually spill over into black on black settings.
It's because it's universal, right? I think with the sisters, they're used to us. They're in community with us, so it doesn't have the same like ridiculous impact. It's not as like obvious, but the sisters still fetishize us. It's like, it's not like, ladies, I love y'all, but you know, we it's still there. It's just not as obvious and gross when it happens. And like it kind of is. I don't want to say is what it is, because that's doomerism. The key to it, I think, is in just general liberation, decolonial ethos. To bring it back to like some theory. Until we like decolonize the concept of black masculinity, we will always be beholden to the BBC framework. Even with black women, we will always be beholden to that. And like I saw somebody make a comment earlier about like, where can I find like men who are emotionally yada yada yada. Like real talk, everywhere. The key is, and here's where it is: if you don't make a man, let me find the best language. If a man doesn't feel safe with you emotionally, you are never going to get what we're putting on display here. Like the same dude that I am right now, I was with ex-girlfriends, but they didn't get this because I didn't feel safe to be that type of guy around them. You know what I'm saying? And that's like, and then the flip side is that what you really want? Because I know plenty of men who have expressed how they've been rejected after opening up emotionally. And like we have to own that is a reality. Like I'm always like, I never, want to defend men or whatever, the manosphere niggas want me to do and shit. But I have to like point out that the way we situate men's problems, especially black men specifically, as innate to their blackness, and we don't critically engage with that, is not okay. It perpetuates the problem, because now instead of these black men thinking about decolonizing, they just think they're broken. You know what I'm saying? And they just kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna just move on and find someone who'll deal with my bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And like I know dudes, like I know 40-year-old men, fresh out of divorce, on their way into a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, and I feel for them, because what they're looking for in terms of like emotional resonance and connection, they're not even ready for themselves, because they haven't practiced it, and they haven't had a lot of opportunity to practice it. And they're and they don't even know how to like start that conversation with their partners. You know what I'm saying? And that's so many conversations we don't know how to start, but like that one's like low on the list. Like, baby, I want to open up to you. I'm afraid you're going to reject me when I do. I'm afraid it's going to compromise the dynamic in our household. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think that's real. I think here's the thing is I gotta say I do think we gotta defend specifically black men, but also call us on our shit. We need to be doing both because I feel like I think both are realities, right? We got black men we be out of pocket sometimes, but also we be getting beat down by the whole world other times. So it's like, it's like I think there's some mix there. Yeah. And then also I really relate and feel like that not only opening up, but like I do think like all women fetishize us all differently too, because like specifically I've been fetishized by multiple. Basically, put it like this: most of the black women that I want to fuck with don't want to fuck with me, but the ones that do, a lot of times want to fuck with me based off of proximity to whiteness type thing. Because I'm light skinned. I'm not as light as I look right now because these lights fuck me up, but I'm light skinned. And then they get to know me, and then they're like, "Oh fuck, what I get myself into?" Like,
you still a nigga? Hold up.
You know what I mean? And then also the other component too. I want to touch on what Turb was saying was like, as a poly person, like dog, like finding a relationship is motherfucking hard, right? You can fuck, you can have sex, but being seen even by black folks as actual relationship material is really hard because a lot of people are competing to be with these white people, which is like, why? Why would I compete to be with a white person? Being with a white person is hella easy. That's not even really hard most of the time. I'm not saying there ain't some dope white people that I would enjoy being with. I'm not trying to shit on every white person.
You have to edit this down.
Like this cat's there's no way.
Look, I'm not saying there ain't some. I'm not even gonna say there ain't some white people that are worth being with. But the amount of gambit of selection you have when it comes to white people is really, there's a lot, and most of the options are shit. So it's like, I mean, I guess I'll leave it at that.
y'all ever got like that kind of like back talk, like after you like break up with someone or like it goes awry and like they send you like a degrading message?
Oh no,
really? I've gotten.
Well, I don't. You know what? Last time I was dating, we didn't have text messages, so I don't know. I might have had a couple of those, and just they didn't come because there was no.
I realize every time I get one of those, if things go awry, it's always rooted in masculinity and masculine tropes that I didn't embody. Like I have one up here that I'm gonna read.
Why? Why did you make
a con is he's sassy, right? He's sassy. He has hella female friends. He gets very mean, kind of bitchy, kind of corny. He's in debt. So it's like all this was like just.
She calls you sassy.
Yeah. Like that, like
wait. His dick has no curve. Like,
that's just petty.
Every single message I get like that from like a woman, like whenever I like look back at her, I'm like, they're just degrading me on a masculine like I didn't fit these roles of like traditional masculinity. And I told you straight up, like I'm not like that. And you know I'm not like that, you know. Right. So it's very weird how it's like, oh well,
it's not weird. It makes perfect
because
it makes perfect sense. I mean, the way you know the way you insult a man is through his masculinity. You know what I'm saying? That they know it hurts the most. Mm-hmm. It does hurt the most. So if you don't have the what's the word I want to use? If you don't have the moral fortitude to not go low, they will go low. And there's way less social sanction for insulting a man's masculinity than like other identity based insults. And that's something I've talked about a lot. Like going back to the one regret I got, the one call out I got from a Black Manosphere nigga that I regret, and I'm like, yeah, they got me, was I didn't spend any time in the second version of the Black Manosphere video talking about how women kept insulting Kevin Samuels's masculinity. Like they still call him kitten heels and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that was because he wasn't like a rough and tumble dude. He was very prim and a little effeminate in his presentation. And so like, instead of just sticking to all the other awful shit about Kevin Samuels, they knew that was the one that carried the most weight. You know what I'm saying? And it's still, fuck Kevin Samuels, but like that is a thing that we contend with. It's the flip side to the hypermasculinity. And like part of the reason why, some dudes respond so over the top when they feel like their masculinity is challenged is because they don't want to catch that, effeminate L on the nose. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's an existential element to that, because going back to like Big, you said at the beginning of the video of the talk, like you fought not because you wanted to fight, because people kept testing you because they was trying to situate you in a certain masculine box that you weren't in, and so then they kept attacking you. You kept having to fight the motherfuckers back. It wasn't on some I'm performing masculinity. It's literally I'm defending myself for performing a transgressive masculinity, and like that's the I made the comment like folks that think bell hooks that'll quote bell hooks, but think her name is spelled with capital letters. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got the code words. I don't know if you quite got the discourse. I love, last thing I'm gonna say, shout out to Julesy. She interviewed I think I know if it's Keith Lehman or Keith Lehman, but he talked about it. He talked about how like it's one thing to get all your Audre Lorde, all your Pat Hill Collins, all your bell hooks on your bookshelf, but living that ethos is hard. And it's hard coming out of white supremacist superstructures. It's hard in dealing with toxic black men who are not doing right by you. So yeah, you might do some manipulative, semi-patriarchal shit to hurt a nigga if the opportunity presents itself. You know what I'm saying? And like that has to be unpacked.
Semi. You be nice right now. Full flame patriarchal shit. Like just
I'm being nice right now. I'm being nice right now.
Here's the thing is too, people gotta realize that patriarchy isn't like assigned to just men. It's just like I think there's that notion, and it's just not true. Like patriarchy is something that, just like white supremacy, permeates everybody, right? It's been implanted into all of us, right? That's why we all gotta watch how we maneuver, not just like not just men, not just even when it comes to white supremacy, not just white people, like all of us, because we can all play into it because we're all indoctrinated like a motherfucker into that shit. And it isn't any like, and none of us are immune to it. Like some of us suffer more than others from it, but none of us are immune to it. So
yeah, like
go ahead, Jafar. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna ask you all how you all deal with like the sex shaming part, especially like as men. Like I don't feel like we have many avenues for like redressing that. Like I think like it's pretty acceptable when women discuss body shaming, body acceptance, having to adhere to the structures. I think there's quite a bit of spaces, at least now, but it's really difficult. Like there's this one, like Bahamian TikTok is off the chain. Like there's this one act like as a speaker, and like she legit just said like trigger warning, like she just like in jest, but like I mean like the fact that like it's in jest, like it's very difficult to even talk about. She's just like all small doggy niggas need to die, and like I was just like
damn,
like doggy means dick. Cool.
Yeah,
so, like, and I was just like, fam, like I was just like, let me take a second
can't
to
live?
just like they can't live. Like I mean, like they were just like it's like they hate to hear a man come up with all that bass in their voice and like talk to them and tell them what to do X, Y, and Z, and then they know what they're working with, and then just like it's just like after that, like it just neuters their whole argument. And I was just like, I was typing a comment, right? And then I was just like, okay, so I can't even respond to this because one, then I could get like drowned in the comments going to say, it's spoken like a true small doggy man, like or spoken like like they'll just tear you apart. And I'm just like, what do you do here?
It's a no-win situation under patriarchy. It just is. It's just like I compare it to those rare moments where like I see niggas being really unfair to a white person on Twitter, and I'll be like, "Hey,
it's not my fight.
It's not my fight." Because I'll see it.
That's how I felt when Noah was getting dragged on Twitter. I was like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
I was like, I hated I say,
Man.
damn, that's my brethren. I hate that I have to be there. But if I jump in there, I was just like, hey,
you
that's
never know how it's gonna go. Freaking, I did the video with Maggie Made Fish, and like I guess the sprinkles of divestors that are still in my audience was like you saw the comment I posted. I was like, this is wild. Where did this even come from?
I thought that was about the streamer, the cam. Yeah.
No, that was about Maggie. That was a stream I did. That was on the comment from talking to Maggie Made Fish, who was a nice skinny white woman, but like, you know, I'm not about to like I'm not about to like jump on the comments being like, leave Maggie Made Fish alone.
You ain't like seriously, and I be feeling for it. Like I be all like, damn, like, you know, like especially like when it comes to like, there's a lot of intersectionality between him and like white trans women, like for instance, like I'd be all like, all right, like, you know, like we adjacent. Like I was just like, yeah, I could. But then like I see like the quote tweets, and they just be getting fucked right up in the quote tweets. I just like, oh Jesus Christ, I don't even want to touch that because I spill on you, and it's just like, who do you cape for? But even like, how do you deal with that? Because like going back to that masculinity, like there's no space for you to even discuss that. Like,
so for me personally, it's understanding. One, there is space right here. Like we got space, and we're creating space. And so I've always used the angst and the frustration that comes from that, and turned it into connecting with men around that shared angst, but also not letting it fester into red pill shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's about. Because obviously we shouldn't tell. First and foremost, like dudes with little and normal dicks have been getting married, having kids, and fucking since the time there wouldn't be no little dicks left. if so, like anybody that feel like they not shaped, or especially black men who are not like working with the Justin Long joint, you are fine. Trust me. All right. That said, it is like there's a thing to like feeling like, could y'all not say that about us on TikTok? Can that not be a meme? Because there are dudes that are genuinely frustrated around that, let alone the white incels that hate us more than they hate women. The white incels hate black men more than they hate women sometimes. Tyrone.
Yeah.
I don't want the little insults though, because it's the best way to piss off white dudes, bro. I'm like, it's like the best way. But what I will say to all my black people that got little dicks, trust me, as someone who actually is pretty big, a lot of women do not like it. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just being a buck. A lot of women don't like it. A lot of women get scared. Yeah. Like, no, that's too much. And like, I'm not even playing. So don't even feel bad.
You do not need a giant. The giant penis is for us. That is ego
for other brethren.
and like you walk around and you know it. But like, talk to 100 women. First off, women can't measure penises. Every woman, if you ever ask a woman how big her boyfriend's dick is, she'd be like, this big. It's like, so like, first off, tell me I'm lying though. Tell me I'm lying though. I've seen that in real life. I've seen my wife be like describe my penis like, baby, I'm not. No, what nigga do you think you had kids with? That is not me. So that's number one. So however big you think you are, add 3 inches for your partner. That is what she thinks is happening. All right. Trust me, you are fine. I forgot what the fuck the point.
Nobody like I think that like a lot of like men fall into this. Like I think like the hardest pain I've ever felt. Like I was talking like a lot of dudes like are insecure about like their partner's sex history. Like you find like a lot of situations like where like okay like you. One time I asked my gal. No, I didn't ask my gal. Like I was just like, you know, damn, I wish like I don't know how we got on this topic, but I was just like, we never had sex at your parents' house. It's just like, and like, she must have said, yes, we did. I was just like, no, the fuck we didn't. And then she said, and like she hesitated. I say, listen, yes. And like things like that. Listen, I must have thought about that for a year. And I'm just like, okay, so like a lot of fellas is asked, like I talk to other fellas, I talk to other brethren, and you're just like, from a man, like if my gal talked to this one, like one of my ops, Like, you gonna say, okay, I found out that my girl that I was talking to, she used to talk with my brethren over here. I said, I can't talk to her no more. I said, what? I said, what you mean? Like I said, that's a nice gal. She hold you down. She bring you, corned beef and grits at 8 o'clock to your little gas station job, and you go to dump her? I say, why? And he's going to say, listen, he's going to say, she's talking to Jamarcus. I say, well, Marcus? I said, if you talk to white gals, like literally, I've had a gal like one time come to me and say that like she would never get another date. Like she would never be able to marry anybody, I believe that she said, if she fuck with a black dude. And I just like, how you figure that? He's just like, once they find out, I say it's over. They say the word spread. I say, I thought I was in Arkansas for a second. This is in just like straight up like Iowa University, like very progressive and everything like that. Like literally the conversations behind these doors, comment section, let me know. Like if there's any white brethren in the chat, like literally white dudes.
I'm not gonna lie though, like the most diabolical rumors with like the white women were like the black men allegations, where it's like, oh, this white woman got a train ran on her by like 6 black men. You know what I mean? Those in university specifically and in my social settings, those are the most like hurtful allegations to a woman.
I've seen that on Twitter. Yeah, I've seen that on Twitter with and that's what some of that like being careful about like the real statistics, but as I talked about in the Black Men Sexuality video, like false rape allegations are rare. Put that out there. But false rape allegations against black men, while still rare, are like, I think it was triple the amount for white men. And
we're scared of that shit. Like that was that was always my thing, because like it was known that like every week at one point, I think it was like 2 years ago at Iowa State University, like there was like a notification that you get in your emails. There's been a sexual assault on campus. And like you look at it and it's always at the fraternity houses, like a fraternity adjacent. And I was just like, listen, them white boys are doing numbers. Like they are doing, and like I remember the gals them saying that, oh, it's the football team, they just be doing it. I say these niggas are scared out of their life. Trayvon, George Floyd just happened. You think that I'm not even gonna look in your direction. Trust me, black dudes out here ain't touching these. Yeah, I'm not gonna run it across, but they too scared of retribution from any type of police to even risk that.
And because the flip side is that stain of being with a black man for that, like that's the flip side of the fetish. You know what I'm saying? That there are white men who will devalue a white woman for being with a black man. That's like you. If you ask white women, they will like ask white women that have been with black men about how they've been treated by white men once that information comes out, and they will tell you that what you're talking about is real. And so it creates this complex. There's all these different like toxic forces where
never go back.
Right. Once you go black, like it's not you never go back on some like some side shit. It's like literally we reject you now. Yeah. You belong to the streets. You know, and that's why the incels hate it so much. You know what I'm saying? Because it gives them fuel for their own racist racist and misogynistic bullshit. And like it's icky because on the flip side, like there are dudes out there doing the most. There are dudes that really be chasing, always want to play in the snow, and they're so loud about it. That like it's hard to talk around the issue holistically, because it's the same way I was talking about, like I want Black Panther to come back, like I want T'Challa back, but I always have to think about who I'm in company with when I'm talking on a particular conversation, because I'll be like, yeah, and the dude next to me like, yeah. Also, black women are horrible people. It's like, how did you get here? How did we end up on the same side? Like, God damn it, let me shut up and move over here now. You know what I'm saying? So it's rough. It's rough.
I don't know. Yeah. I think we gotta actually address the same shit we already we're trying to address, but like make a space where we're like in opposition to them niggas, but still be like talking about the same issues, right? Because I feel like the problem I see is like they monopolize those conversations instead of it being other folks being able to be like, nah, y'all are whack. The conversation need to be had, but y'all are on some whack shit. You know what I mean? Right. I also want to say about the white women shit being like staying. I was like, yeah, but there's a flip side of that too. because of the whole spade tattoo having ass white boys.
Oh.
That, you know what I mean? The hot wife fetish shit. You know what I mean? And that's just big. Like that's just big. You know what I mean? They be going wild with
there's whole. I forgot. It was somebody's. Where did I find this at? It may have just hit Black Twitter or maybe like Black Twitter Reddit. But I was like, there's no way a white woman is in control of this Tumblr. Like this is not written by anybody but a white man who is in love with the idea of black men defiling white women. Because and that's kind of the thing. That's where that fetishism around black men, the thing that I think black men feel innately, which is what makes it hard for us, but don't fully understand, is that our fetishization is innately dehumanizing. It's innately racist, and it reduces us to animals, to beasts. They call black men in these like cuckold whatever things bulls and studs and shit, and it's because the eroticism. And I want to be like clear. I don't want to yuck people's yum to an extent, right? You know what I'm saying? I know people that have involved themselves in race play. You know what I'm saying? I've watched my fair share of porn across the spectrum. I get it. But that means we can't be, but we still got to be critical about the shit. Yeah. And it's like the men involved with it in real life. So not like performing porn, right? But in real life, I think a lot of dudes don't even know that they're being dehumanized in a lot of situations. You go look at the comments for that black man sex video. There's plenty of dudes that's like, what are you talking about? This is great. Women want to fuck me. But like, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about being dehumanized, and they conflict the two because they don't know the difference. I just saw something on Twitter now. This dude is walking through Thailand, and all the girls.
I saw, yeah.
That's why I put on the video. Yeah, I put that in the interracial.
Oh, was
video,
that? Oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, this is not like, yo, you did put that in there. I'm like, dude, this is not love.
One thing with the performance of masculinity too, it's like we can't even like, well, at least in my experience, it's like I can't even talk to a woman without like my white friends specifically. Not to like call them out if y'all watching this, but like I kind of have a problem with this. With like I talk to a woman and like they're like, oh, well, you're trying to fuck this woman. No, I'm not, you know. Like personally, my body count is like, if I'm gonna be honest, my body count's pretty low because the first time I had sex was pretty traumatizing. So I just don't really want to. I need to explore myself sexually, but like I gotta do that on my own terms. But that's besides the point. Anyways, when I'm talking to like these women, right? They're always like, oh, Thea, are you hooking up with this woman? Are you hooking up with this woman? Where it's like I will be flirting and I will have conversation, you know, but like I'm not fucking all of these women at once. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it's like time after time after time. My friend had an ex, right? And like I swiped up on her story because she was making like these empanadas, and I was like, those are cool empanadas. And then like he thought I fucked her. He thought I fucked like that. It was over for her. It was over for her. Yeah,
we're inherently sexual.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I vibe so much with trans women, especially as I've gotten closer to trans women, is because I recognize it's such a parallel and like a correlation between our experiences, because trans women are inherently sexualized and they're disembodied from their persona and their gender performance, because their performance won't necessarily match what they're perceived as, and then they're beholden to that, and then they're hypersexualized from the outside in, and so people just assume that you're some type of big old freak, or that you're just fucking everybody, or everybody's fucking you, or you're always ready to fuck. And it's like it really is frustrating. It's frustrating to hear these stories. It's frustrating to think of my own stories. And I think to piggyback off of something Big just said, the only black men that get the mic. That's why like I'm so passionate about like trying to grow the space and always sharing other voices, because black men who are talking about the things we're talking about don't get the attention like as a whole, because they don't want to hear this shit from us. It really fucks up it's fucking up their vibe.
Yeah,
like low key, like it fucks people's vibe. People be wanting so bad to just vibe with niggas, like yeah, and they want to fuck us and they want to play with us. And as soon as we start talking on some like, yeah, so you know, Emotionally, I don't know. Like, what do you mean emotionally? They be like, what do you mean emotionally? You fucking up the vibe. Be a dick. Be a dick and an animal. That's what we want. Clapping in the face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like that's the frustrating thing is that the dudes that are willing to do that are also then still spreading the most toxic shit. So it's like two problems at once. You know what I mean?
And I feel like it's really hard. Like I feel, apologia for me, right? But like I feel like it's really hard, like for your boy sometimes, because like I feel like with Turb, you could somewhat do it because like you like your masculinity is kind of alternative sometimes. Like you got the Cardi thing going on. Unk, I think like if there's a way to prototype you, like you always seem like the sage. And like you present yourself. But I feel like I often get, and this goes back to like what Fab said, this goes back to what you were talking about, like on your Manosphere video, like I look at myself and I'm beginning to now see it a lot more. I'm just like, I look at even my thumbnails, I look at my profile, like picture, my avatar, and I'm just like, the people who I'm talking to may very well not be seeing my face and thinking that I'm gonna say the things I'm gonna say. And the people that I don't want to talk to see me and they're just like, yeah, that's one of us, one of the good ones. Yeah. And like they see me talking and like they're just like, wait, hold the hell on with it. White supremacy, like they're just like misogynoir, like they just like hold on, like, and like I think of all of the things I'm involved with, and I really be feeling futile sometimes for what I like type of things that I talk about, because like if I think about the things I'm adjacent to, like BJJ, extremely conservative, like MMA in itself, extremely testosterone-y, conservative, hyper masculine stereotypes, like even like as it pertains to like lifting weights, stuff like that, like those space, like being like a him bro, like gym bro type guy, like being in that space, like they expect a particular type of presentation for me, and I'm just like, I realize how I've been socialized, like just growing up, and now making this pivot, and how goes back to what you said, like at the top of the video, like, do I have the room for it? And I found that like a lot of the time, I'm really forcing room and creating space, and it's extremely hard being back home for it, but at the same time, extremely fulfilling because I sometimes find like men somewhat like close to it. Like they're saying like, yeah, this patriarchy shit is hard. They're not saying that, but like they're just like, it's hard to
be so close.
They so close. They're just like, there's like these gals, all they want is niggas with money. We call it corn. Like niggas with corn. They want niggas on boats. They want niggas with cars and houses. They want to be able to go to Dubai, and I can't do that shit. And I don't think I will ever be able to do that shit. And they're just like, I don't know how else to do it, but to put myself in dire straits. I literally, very closely, like know people that have put themselves, like literally smuggled themselves on a boat to get to the States so that they could deal drugs, so that they could impress a gal back home. I'm telling you, just because like they saw that like the gal was talking to fellas with means, money in man them, and they're just like, I need to be able to do that. So I'm going to literally smuggle myself to the US as an immigrant to deal in this
black immigrant.
A black immigrant with a hard ass accent. And I think about that and I'm just like, there's the maze that they're in has absolutely very little flexibility, and he doesn't have the language to even see that, okay, that is a woman that I just may not be able to get.
Yeah.
Or I might be able, like say, like what she wants, I don't have. And given that it's a small island too, we'd be feeling like that is the only woman that I could get. And like, we really be feeling like the evolutionary halt and just like, okay, like as a caveman, like I can't get this gal. I might not be able to like,
right. It might be it.
Yeah, this might be it for me. And like, it really be feeling like that because like you see the same like people most of the time. It's an island, it's 2x4. So I mean, what do you like? I'm trying to like talk to them and I don't know what to do.
Well, so you can't like, the one thing I learned from being a teacher is that you can't aspire to fix people. You know what I'm saying? Like people, like especially folks with complex issues, you just try to hold them down when you have the opportunity to give them use tools and support when it's possible. So there's that, like, because that'll kill you. That's something I'm still dealing with now, you know, because it's you don't divest from empathy, you know, for real. And as you get clout, like clout will enhance who you really are. And so I'm like trying to be way more empathetic than I have the capacity to sometimes. On the flip side, the other thing is I think, like, when we talk about this with Dave, like, it's important for you to do what you're doing, and all of us really, to like present that masculinity has all these different permutations of how it can exist and be valid and be nurturing and be attractive. And because what it is it means that my son favorite color can be pink. You know what I'm saying? And it means that as that like sends ripple effects throughout time and space, like, I think the ladies are going to catch up. I think the environment is going to catch up to an extent. Like, I like, in fact, I know it will. Like, I know, like, the thing that the funniest thing about like the incel psychology is they have the power that they're still men in a patriarchal society. Thus, they have like power to dictate the terms of engagement on to a certain degree. Obviously, you know, like, there's lookism and you know, capital stuff like that. But I said it to say, like, if men decided and started to require that if you want access to us, if you want the BBC or the regular BC, that you have to treat me like a human, the ladies will respond. They will respond the same way your boy got on a boat to go trap. The ladies will stop. They will get rid of all their Playboy Cardi and pull up some I don't know, some Common so quick. Like, they'll pull up some JID so quick and be all so, like, they will do that for us because like the frustrating thing is that they love us. The way they express their love is not always, you know, understandable and easy to decipher. It's not always healthy, and it's not always like loving the whole person, but it's a lot of that love. And so like do you, and you will start to attract the type of energy that we want more of in the world, and folks will follow suit. So, Big, you about to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to tap on what you're saying a little bit about the incels, talking about all like the rich men, all these things they need. It's like, look, man, the reason it's like that is because y'all motherfuckers make it like that, right? Y'all like sit there, okay, cool. Like, you know what I'm gonna do? Oh, you want to fuck with that? Go fuck with. See how that turns out for you. I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna do my own thing. But the thing is, they have so low self-worth, not even just so self-esteem, because we all can struggle with self-esteem, right? But so low self-worth that they perpetuate the same thing they think they're fighting against, right? They're like, boom, oh, it's like, yo, if you just start pulling away from that shit, you mean there's only gonna be 300,000 niggas in this fucking country, so they'll find out real quick that niggas are all assholes. They don't mean shit. So just let that happen. But you invest in those ideas and try to compete to become them motherfuckers. That's why you hold that shit up. Right. And that means the problem. And like, so if we stop doing that, that will stop being a thing. And we're like, all right, if you want to be like that, cool, whatever. I'm not gonna engage with that shit.
Yeah,
and
no,
the thing is like, and also like, there's another thing too about it. If that's what, like, look, as somebody who I date more than women, but as someone who dates women, right? Like, if it's like that's what you want and the expectation that I'm supposed to be, even if I get to that point, what I'm not taking you to Dubai. Like, you know who I'm gonna take to Dubai? The person who don't want a dime from me. You know, I'm gonna take don't want shit from me but me, and that's who I'm taking. Going to all this shit, all this luxury that I can bring. Well, if I ever get to that point, nah, I'm not taking you. Nah, why would I do that? Because that's what you're there for. And they don't think like that. They don't. The incels are like, no, I need to be the dude. I need to be this is that. And half of these motherfuckers are straight grifting. And the reason they are in those situations like Fresh and Fit is because they grift to the motherfuckers. So the motherfuckers provide them the situation to be the person that they claim they want to be. But if they didn't have those things, these motherfucking incels providing it for them by paying their pockets, they wouldn't have anybody, especially like Fresh and Fit weirdo ass.
The dude Myron is such a lame. It's so obvious.
bro.
And I say that as a former lame. I know what it looks like to not have any game or understanding of women and just like come up and just like the shit he says is it's so maidenless. It's like you ain't learned nothing.
Yeah.
Y'all know who Mike Rashid is?
Who?
Mike Rashid. He's like he has like workout YouTubes. They've had Mike Rashid on a couple of times, right? I think when Ak went on last time, Mike Rashid was on there. I think it's the last time he's ever gonna be on that shit because he was like, these niggas are straight clowns. Like, what the fuck?
But I do get that discernment with like what Foreign was talking about with like radicalization against the normality, because that's just hard, bro. Like I talk about being like a coon in like these spaces for a long time, but I also realized how hard it was to deviate from that space of thought, you know, and start doing something else when the normality is so perpetuated where you feel dumb doing other things. You know, if I didn't have this platform and if I wasn't doing what I was doing, sometimes I ask myself, I was like, would I be this progressive? Like, would I search this so deep into theory and like why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing, you know, when the norm is just so much easier to adhere to and like go along with. And like, that's what I like. The other day I heard my sister saying like the N-word, and like I because I have like mixed feelings towards that. I want to have like, but she's 5 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like I can't sit her down. I can't sit her down and be like, okay, because Canada doesn't teach about slavery. I'm like, okay, this is what slavery was. This is da 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 da. This is what the N-word encompasses. This is what like
Hotep hat on.
Put
it on.
Yeah.
Talk to the youth.
Yeah, because in my experience, like if my 5-year-old sister's using the N-word, I'm gonna be like, use it if you want at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But I want to teach you like the history behind it. And I understand that everyone's different, but that's like what I would like to do. And it's like, just now that I'm out of the space of like conservative thought and like trying to learn more theory and trying to apply it to my life specifically, because it's very different talking about it on a platform and applying it to your life. When I'm trying to apply it to my life, I think about it like practically, and I'm like, okay, so how am I going to talk to my sisters? How am I going to do X, X, and X? And it's so hard all the time, like trying to break people out of normality, because not everyone is radicalized to the point, because it took me a lot to be radicalized to the point where it's like, okay, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like, this shit's toxic. Like, I'm like, it's not getting any better. I'm in debt. I'm in university. I'm still being fetishized, like X, 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 and X. What am I upholding right now? And then I radicalized, which was like a violent radicalization. So it's very hard to teach it in a healthy way, you know.
And I really, you got to give grace to yourself. That's one thing I've been on, trying to get on more, especially as I've talked to more and more. Like I was, you know, talking back to a lot of young folks in this space. A lot of people hold a lot of guilt about their past selves and their past ideologies. And then there's this pressure in this, you know, instant connection world to be so great, to be so immediately perfect, without the time and effort and toil that usually that takes. And so there are mistakes on the way. And even when talking to the youth, like my sons, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm trying my best. It looks good. I got some resources that helps. But like 10 years from now, they may be like on some straight up Alex Jones, Kanye shit. And I would be like, I don't know. I tried. You know, I tried. Y'all saw. I took pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so they're at the end of my Obama video. You saw that. It was
I took him to see Obama, and I told him Obama was kind of bad at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, it's you have to give yourself, and that's why I tend to, and I'm gonna try to pull away from that more in the future, not be super big on like the dunking on like shitty people, because I believe most shitty people aren't shitty like on purpose. They're not shitty. They didn't wake up and say, what's the shittiest take I can have today? You know what I'm saying? And then that's the banger. This is gonna shit everywhere. Like, I don't think they're like that for the most part. Some people obviously are, especially on Twitter. But like, and so I try to hold space for that, because we all need to be holding space for each other to not be perfect, to go in and out of spaces of recovery from a superstructure around us that is inherently toxic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, like it, and it reminded me, like I want to circle back to what you were saying. Like I've noticed something in particular, like now, like it feels like I'm in an interracial relationship being in the Bahamas right now
Oh
because like
wow.
and it's wild. Like it has like literally the same pejoratives that you have with it. So like I noticed like when I was coming back into the country, like when we were coming back from New York, and like my gal, of course, like that's my fiance, and she doesn't have a visa, like she doesn't have her papers and everything. So like she's coming in, and like there's a Bahamian woman checking the passports, and like I wanted to bring her through. I check in my Bahamian passport, it's all fine. They get to hers, and they're just like, "Whoa, hold on, where are you from?" And like they're just like, "I'm an American." And let me tell you something, they did not want to let this guy back in the country. Like they like legit was just like, okay, you ain't getting back in the country. And it has like this territorial nature that it reminded me of some of the conversations that you see like in the manosphere. So what I've seen in particular was like this group of manosphere, Jason, like the passport boys, I think you were talking about. Unk is like they basically it's always the grass is green on the other side, folks. And they're just like, I'm gonna go to the Caribbean and get me a Rihanna, or like a lot of them say, like I'm gonna go to like to South Africa and get me like one of these submissive gals and X, Y, and Z. And I've also been seeing the same thing over here, where like a lot of the attention that I get is because I straddle this line of being like a dual citizen, of being like American and Bahamian, and like in the Bahamas, like Bahamians don't see me as Bahamian; they see me as American. And in America, like they see me as, like so, like it's always like a constant foreign land for me. And like the desirability is in my proximity to the States. And I always find that interesting because like the malignment that my fiance gets is because she is from the States. And it's more so like a territorial tribal nature. Like it's just like, okay, you are taking a spot, a position that I, as like a Bahamian woman, could have gotten. And and also just like how like girls in the States, I think I even see like in the divestment like community, like they just feel like it's American men like that, like you have a problem with, like American black men. Like you go to like Africa and like you go to like the UK and like some of these black men, like they don't have the problem. And I've always like tried to figure out, and like you can like possibly talk to me, because I mean like the short answer for that is of course like the proximity to whiteness. But like, why is it could still be the same black? You could tie the heritage right back to the same thing, but it's basically this, okay, the black I know is bad, but the black I don't is good.
Yeah, it's exoticism, and to be fair, that I think that crosses race. Like you could be a British white dude and come to the States and be fetishized for that British heritage, you know what I'm saying, or be an American, a Yankee.
We call them Kawaii jets in my language.
Kawaii jets?
Yeah.
Lord.
White people, Kawaii jets. It's
right.
like white devil. That's what it means.
Only place.
That translation just is crazy.
I wasn't expecting that translation. I was like, oh, pale, uncolored. Oh, white devil. Oh, damn. That's I think Gaijin in Japan. I think Japan's probably the only place where being a foreigner doesn't give you extra points, according to all the weebs I know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I think that's just the exoticist. We exoticize identity. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about your accent earlier. My wife is from New Orleans. She don't have the accent, and I tease her about it all the time. I'd be like, how I marry a New Orleans girl that don't got a New Orleans accent? I really must not be shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you hear that New Orleans accent, and it's like, this is new. This is stimulating. Ooh, this is cool, etc. So there's something pernicious. There's a pernicious element that can grow out of it, but I think it's just, something ingrained in our, in the psyche, that we see new thing, we think new thing interesting, we like new thing, and then maybe it turns into other things beyond that. That's interesting though. You talk about how like my mom's ex, it was Nigerian, And I'll never forget going to Nigeria and masjids in Chicago and feeling like motherfuckers didn't like us because he was the one American family coming in with this, and he had money, he was well educated, he was doing real well, and boy, we got the smallest plates of jollof rice in those mosques.
It really be like that though. And like it's interesting to see it, like, and like I talk to her and I just feel like she'd be like, the women here don't like me, right? And I'm all like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, like I don't see it at all. And like I just feel like, listen to black women type of thing. And like I'm all like, okay, I must just like missed it. And I see it like in the slightest of ways, like a cashier, like as soon as like she opens her mouth, like it's just like boom, like that like that accent, just like, and it's just like a very visceral thing. Where like they believe as though like, okay, this is something that like you throw, like it's very much like an interracial relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's basically the same situations in some like ways. It's just that she could kind of hide it sometimes, and even then, like she can't be totally clandestine because like people could tell just from like small subtle things that they do.
Yeah, there's a going to good old Dr. Umar, right? When you have those, I have one of those hats.
I'm gonna do a Dr. Umar cosplay. I could do it. I'm positive I look like mine. Like I'm positive.
Who's costume? There's gotta be someone's costume for Halloween, man.
You gotta consider it. But to pull on an element of truth to some of his rhetoric around interracial dating. I don't agree with this, but I understand that this is, I think, an innate thing that Black men and women feel when they're negative towards interracial dating, which is there's this sense of loss of a resource. You know what I mean? Like there's this idea that there's only so many marriageable Black men or marriageable Black women, and if you pull one of them out the ecosystem and you put them somewhere else, those are resources that are not here to build the Black community. Now, I don't know if that's, I know that's not true because the data around interracial dating, most interracial relationships are not of a certain economic status.
And it's mostly white men with Asian women.
It's mostly white men with Latino women and then Asian women.
Latino?
All the interracial dating, like 80% of all interracial dating is Latino women and Asian women with white men. Yep. And like motherfuckers be mad at us. You know what I'm saying? Like leave us alone.
Yeah.
we like some of the least likely to date outside of the community. But when it happens and when you feel like there's so many enemies around you, again, the white supremacist superstructure. And the same thing with in the highly colonial state of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Here you go off to America. You get all these degrees, you come back to run a business, and you bring this fucking foreign woman. Motherfucker.
Yes, that's literally the captions. Like every time I can see it, like intensified. And I'm just like, raw, like this is a mad thing. Like I just like, you don't know what to do with that.
Oh Lord. Yo, I need to run out of here, y'all.
We over time. I was
letting it vibe though. I would have let it run longer, but you see me looking every and texting, making sure these kids eat before we get them ready for school tomorrow.
I gotta get back to the foreign sweatshop and get this video out by next week. I mean, by tomorrow.
Yeah. Boy, that thumbnail, sir.
Oh, you see that? You didn't help me.
You know what? I didn't. I found it and it got involved with something. My son scored a goal today.
Hey, let's go.
I feel like you should just straight up put white people voodoo in the. I think that's perfect.
You think
white
so?
people voodoo.
Are you talking about the spiritual girls?
The thumbnail that I have is literally the chalks of voodooing. I'm in my Turb bag right now. Like I'm like the chalks of voodooing, and like I'm gonna put Nebula on Blanche right now. That basically I was looking for feedback. I was like, what do y'all think about the titles for this? And I dropped the thumbnail in there, and like all the white folks then were just like, yeah, I feel like this is white racism right here. just like I'm over here, like I am basically trying my best to behave. I'm just like.
I didn't even see all that. I only saw Dave's response. No, I didn't. I only saw Dave's response. Dave was like, I'm not offended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He said, but I could see how other whites would be offended.
So I gotta agree. You know, I've listened as the recovering hotep I am. Y'all could go a little easier on the crickety cracker shit in your videos. Turb,
I'm
look
with
at you.
Turb.
Okay. If I'm being honest, foreign, I saw that shit with spiritualism. Like my whole family, a lot of my family does spiritualism, like African spiritualism. The way I see that shit on TikTok, man, that shit makes me mad. So if you put that title there, I'ma support it for real.
It's in the thumbnail. It ain't even the title yet. It's the chalks are voodooing, fam. Like it's coming tomorrow. But like literally, I didn't know. Honestly, like if y'all mad at the chalks, and I've been getting called nigga with a hard R in my comment section ad nauseum, but you will make noise to me talking about, listen, we got to think about the whites. The whites, like
Think about the whites.
the chalks. Come on, that's just
I genuinely think white people voodoo is more catchy.
You think?
I think
As a title or
as a title,
caption?
like or one or the other. Just that to me that just sounds fucking hilarious.
But I
white
feel like
people
people like
voodoo?
literally think
I'd
that
like
like
to be
white
nicer.
people could do voodoo. Like if I say that, like they're just like, okay, this is a legitimate religion. Like I'm like, no, nigga, no, you die. Like I'm like, please don't do this. Like so that's why I'm saying like they bleached black magic. Like I'm just like.
The way they commodify it with like astrology and everything and like crystals and like it was just never about like it's just so weird.
I gotta run, y'all.
Look,
We'll message back and forth.
Before everybody dips out, I want to say this about the voodoo thing. So I've been trying on this voodoo search for a minute because I've been feeling a pull towards that. Right, I went to New Orleans, the biggest mistake I ever made in my life to go to New Orleans trying to find shit, and because all influenced by what the white people thought of what's her name, the sister that was down there, and I actually didn't like her because of that. The one that was like
American Horror Story shit.
The one that everybody talks about, they go to her grave and throw like rice in the air and shit and all that.
What are you talking about?
I know you're talking
Y'all
about
do that in the US?
But they basically
Whoa, I never heard of that.
They basically base it off of her, but she was really just using spies to spy on the white people and telling them what they want to hear so she could get money. And like she was I actually didn't like her at first, but then I found out that what?
No, Miss Cleo.
Oh no,
no.
No, that's like I don't remember her name. Madam something. Is it Madam Bovary? No, that's somebody else.
I can't tell you.
She was a mixed black woman that was like back in the days like with slavery and shit and all that shit. So like it was a while back, but that everybody goes to New Orleans to like find out about her and go see her grave and shit. And so I actually didn't like her at first because she is so bastardized voodoo. But what I found out later when I looked into her, she actually didn't do it like that. She just told white people one thing while keeping it real to herself, so she could like con them. And I was like, oh, I'm not even mad at that. Like, you know, yo, I'm not even mad at you for that.
Yeah, somebody said Mary Laveau. Mary Laveau. I think
exactly. Mary Laveau. But
Well, let me go edit this video so y'all can have it by tomorrow. Then, and since y'all like this white voodoo shit, maybe I might go with that. I'm gonna check it out.
For sure.
Question mark. White people voodoo. White people voodoo. I don't know. I'm
Before everybody dives out though, real quick, if you like the Sex Sundays, please show up. Next Sunday we're gonna be talking about biphobia. Well, me and nobody else here, unfortunately, because they're all dope. I'd love to have y'all back at some point.
Very straight.
But we're gonna be talking about biphobia, so feel free to come through if you're interested.
Peace and blessings, y'all.
All right,
nice convo.
I gotta go. Good times.
All right. Peace.
Bless up.
All right, y'all. We about to be out of here. Thanks for showing up. Please subscribe if you haven't before. Check out some of my other videos in my catalog, and hopefully I'll see some of y'all next week. But we about to be out. Thanks for being here. Peace.